Hey, good morning, Monday morning, everybody. Hey, before I start, this probably will be a very long walk and talk because I got a lot of things to share. So just to let you know, it's probably going to be a longer one. Just listen to the water for a second. I never get tired of that sound. And the birds in the background is always pleasant as well. But you can kind of see it a little bit here. Hold on. Yeah, it's really rushing through pretty quickly now. We have gotten tons of rain lately, and it's been awesome to fill our reservoirs and lakes and streams and creeks and everything else. As a matter of fact, this one lake that my wife and I go to every so often to hike around and so forth, she actually took her friend there who was visiting last week, is almost completely filled. So that's amazing because when Helene hit this particular area, not my area, but further east, it was it did a lot of damage to certain lakes and campground areas and so forth, and it just drained the lakes. I mean, so you would see like beach where there should be boats. It was crazy. Yeah, it was just wild. You know, for Florida and other places it wouldn't be wild, but for here it's pretty wild. And so yeah, it's really nice to see the lakes getting filled up again. But yeah, I just wanted to show you all that rushing water here because everything is so green and lush now because we are well into spring, approaching summer. So it's very shady now, which makes it really nice because it's going to be a warm week. And I got today off, so I figured I would take advantage and do a walk and talk and take care of some other stuff that I got to take care of and whatnot. So hadn't done one of these in a while, and got a lot on my mind, a lot of stuff to share. So try to put it in some kind of order here. First and foremost, excuse me, give me some water here. This time I was smart and brought some water. I haven't always done that. This time I have. Excuse me. Clear my throat. Anyway, first and foremost, last night around 9 p.m. or so, wife got a text from Pastor Faircloth's wife, Jen. And good news is he's out of the ICU. For people who have been following this, reading my post and whatnot, listening to me about it, he's out of the ICU. So that's really good news. There's the water again. So he's in a room. And I guess depending upon how well he does over the next day, two, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not there, so I'm not witnessing and observing any of it, just getting it secondhand information. But I guess maybe he'll be discharged soon. Praise the Lord. I'm guessing. So that's great news. So thank you all once again for your prayers. You did it again. You know, you stepped up to the plate. I appreciate it. I know they appreciate it. I know everybody involved in this whole thing appreciates it. So thank you very much for stepping up with your prayers and your support and just, you know, your love. And man, hopefully this is the last time. I'm sure they're probably thinking the same thing. I told Jen, I said, man, your family's been through hell. I'm not saying other families haven't been, but wow, this has just been insane. Just 2025 with health issues and just in and out of the hospitals and surgeries and just for so many people and families and whatnot. So very grateful, very thankful that he's in a room. And I know he can keep some solid food down. They want him to regain his strength, get his energy back and so forth. So hopefully he'll be back soon because he's still got to recover from the hernia surgery from before this complication. So it's a lot of recovering and recuperating time and just it's not easy. It's not easy having surgery for anybody who's ever had it, no matter what it is. I mean, your body's just not used to being cut into and with foreign objects, you know, and then sewn up, you know, like a pillow. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If anybody's ever had any surgeries or know of anybody who has, you know what I'm talking about. It takes a long time to recover and recuperate from things. Then you have to go through physical therapy for certain things as well too. So yeah, and when you're in your 50s, 60s or whatever, approaching 60, it makes it even more difficult. So anyway, but he's doing better. So thank you, Lord, for that. Like I said, and thank you all as well. So anyway, there's the update there. I guess the main thing I want to talk about, I mean, there's a lot of things on my mind, but I guess the main thing I want to talk about, of course, is, you know, what happened over the weekend. You know, I looked at things as much as I could, but we did have some things scheduled this weekend, specifically yesterday. You know, we celebrated my wife's birthday. It was actually on the 29th, but the only way the whole family could get together really was on Sunday for all of us. So that's what we did. And so we had a good time doing that and whatnot. And but in the background, you know, I had already been looking at some things, researching some things or whatnot. And of course, Saturday morning, was it Saturday morning? Maybe it was Saturday morning, yesterday morning? I can't even keep track now. Maybe it was yesterday morning. Whatever it was, it's either Saturday or Sunday morning. I think it was yesterday morning. But anyway, it was Paul from Off Grid Desert Farming that, for me personally, he was the first one that was reporting on what happened in Russia. Yeah, dude, I can walk here. I know it's a road, but I can walk here. Man, people are crazy. Anyway, so dude, they need to slow down. Anyway, what was I saying? Russia, the events that took place in Russia, it was Paul from Off Grid Desert Farming that I was aware of that was reporting on it first and foremost before anybody that I saw. And then later on, as the day went on, you know, more and more reports came out, more and more people making videos, more and more people talking about it, and on it goes. As I'm looking at this, and then I hear them start talking about it being Russia's Pearl Harbor. And I said, well, I don't know. Me personally, I don't know that I would go that far, because I've researched things on Pearl Harbor, seen documentaries, listened to witness testimonies and so forth, shared things on the previous channel about Pearl Harbor and so forth. And personally, I don't know that I would go that far, but I understand the comparison, you know, as far as, you know, attacking a base, you know, taking out their bombers and whatnot. I get the comparison. I just don't know that I would go that far, because it did not pertain to aircraft carriers, for one. Okay. And there, as far as I know, there aren't nearly as many deaths. And it just wasn't as overall. I wouldn't say it's not traumatic, and I'm not diminishing the pain and the suffering, but I just wouldn't think, me personally, I don't think it was Pearl Harbor intense from December 7th, 1941. My personal opinion, okay? People agree, disagree, what have you. But I understand the comparison. So anyway, so I'm looking at that, I'm reading these things and watching the footage and everything. And then this morning, I see something from the Crux, whether people like it, don't like it, whatever. The Crux, C-R-U-X, and their YouTube shorts. And it just kind of was like, whoa. Because if people recall, I don't remember what video it was. I was in the car driving, you know, phone in my lap kind of thing. I talked about, maybe 2-3 videos back, I talked about Failsafe, the movie Failsafe with Henry Fonda and Walter Matthau and Larry Hagman, you know, J.R. Ewing and stuff, from like the 1950s. I think it was made in maybe 60s, probably 60s, 50s, 60s, I don't remember. But anyway, where, you know, Moscow was attacked. We were responsible. The U.S. was responsible. Moscow's taken out. So the two presidents of the two countries, they want to avoid World War III as much as possible. So they say, well, the only way to make this just, the only way to make this right, is for New York to suffer the same fate as Moscow, because they had similar populations according to the movie and so forth. And that's exactly what happened. So Moscow's taken out, New York City's taken out in the film. It's called Failsafe. Well, as I'm watching the Crux video, all across the screen, it keeps flashing the words failsafe. So as the Russian bombers, as they're showing the footage of the bombers getting destroyed and so forth, they keep flashing the word failsafe. And I shared the video to the post too, because I'm just like blown away by this. I'm like, wow, I don't even know what to say. I just like, this is crazy, man. It's like art imitates life, life imitates art, and things just get confirmed so quickly now. It's just amazing to me. And my wife and I, we were discussing something last night, and I don't even remember what it was. I was just talking to her a few minutes ago, and I don't remember what it was exactly, where something else was confirmed from a video or what have you, and I don't remember what it was now, but I just know that things are just happening so quickly now with confirmations through videos, news reports, you know. I wouldn't say prophetic words as much, except for this one. But honestly, I don't really pay attention to that many prophetic words overall, okay? Except for this one. Several weeks ago, before Pastor Ben went back into the hospital, had complications of surgery, went back in the hospital, he put out a video, or not a video, excuse me, it was a sermon. It was a Sunday sermon. And I think the title of it was War, War, War. I could be wrong on that, but I know the message was War, 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 because he said, I asked the Father, this was like 2-3 weeks ago, probably not a month, but not a long time ago. He said, what's next? Well, me and other people are probably thinking, well, might be the economy. And it kind of is to a certain extent. It kind of is, you know. But what's next as far as the big event, the thing that people need to be prepared for, watching for, paying attention to? And he said the Father told him, war, war, war. Just like that. That's what he said he received in the Spirit. War, war, war. Kind of hard to disagree with that after what happened this past weekend. So I'm just thinking to myself, oh yeah, I would call that a prophetic confirmation. Other people might disagree, whatever. You're entitled. It's just my opinions of things I observe and things I'm listening to, paying attention to. Because with war will come economic difficulties. You know, the tariffs are full effect now. They said after June 1st, things are going to start ramping up. Well, sure enough, on June 1st, they started ramping up. Maybe not in this country, but over in Russia, Ukraine, and whatnot. So, but after June 1st, things are going to start ramping up. So we're going to be dealing with the economic issues, fallout of everything now. And I don't know, the tariffs have gone into effect in a bigger way. People are starting to see the crunch now, starting to hear more reports, people visiting Walmart and stuff like that. $14 bacon or whatever else. And people talking about other stores and the prices increasing, and on it goes. So I would imagine, again, by summer, people are going to start really feeling the crunch, even those that are in denial. You know, denial just ain't a river in Egypt, you know. But even those that are in denial and they still don't see the writing on the wall and they still don't get it, they're going to feel it by summer. I really, truly believe that. The dog days of summer. I've said it many times and I'll keep saying it. That's what I truly believe. Because these tariffs go into effect, economy finally gets affected in a major way. Grocery stores increase their prices, retail stores increase their prices, more and more stores shut down. Lack of availability of certain items. People are going to start noticing. They can still be in denial, but they're going to start noticing. So, which kind of makes me laugh because someone left a comment. I don't want to mention their name. I usually don't remember the people's names that leave comments, but I don't mention the person's name because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But I do remember the person's name on this one. They told me that their husband said that the events over the weekend didn't happen because it wasn't on the news. And I just had to laugh. I'm just like, really? Well, all I can say is Everybody else is talking about it, and everybody else sees it, and everybody else is noticing it. And it may not be on the news that he watches, which I think was Fox News, faux news or whatever. And they weren't talking about it, so it didn't happen because it wasn't on faux Fox News or whatever. And I just had to laugh because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Not to be too harsh or mean or critical here, because I don't know, 10 plus years ago, I was a big Fox News watcher too. I would watch O'Reilly Factor because we had cable back then, DirecTV or whatever. Don't have any of that stuff now. Can't afford it. Who wants it anyway? It's mostly garbage, right? I mean, I have my streaming services I enjoy or whatever, but that's about it. But anyway, and YouTube, but yeah, so it wasn't on Fox News, it didn't happen. And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't share this, with her or anybody on the channel, because, but I'll do it now. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, you mean the network where everybody sleeps with everybody? The Beautiful People Network. I mean, if you're too heavy, you can't be on that network. If you're ugly, you can't be on that network. If you have any kind of deformity, you can't be on that network. The Beautiful People Network. You mean that network, right? The one where everybody sleeps together, all of the scandals and everything. They kicked O'Reilly off and all the rest of this stuff. That network, right? The ones where, they actually take somebody from Fox and Friends and make them the unbelievably underqualified, Secretary of Defense. That network, right? The guys that have no experience at all to be doing the job that they're doing, but because they were on Fox and Friends or whatever other, being an anchor or whatever, oh, let's make them this, let's give them this job. It's like that network, right? So that's where you get your news from. I mean, you can say it about all of them. The Communist News Network, the Comedy News Network. I mean, they're all the same, right? So no, of course they're not going to report on it. Why would they? They want to keep you fat, dumbed down, and happy. Oh yeah, the other one too. You mean the network that's sponsored by Pfizer? Yeah, that network, right? That's where you get your news from. The ones that are sponsored by Pfizer and all the companies that are trying to kill us. That's where you're getting your news. Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that, because they're not going to tell you the truth. They're only going to tell you what they want you to know, just like all the news networks, right? Come on, seriously, really. So it didn't happen because it wasn't on Fox News, right? I'm sorry, but I just because I used to be one of those people. I wouldn't say it didn't happen because it wasn't on Fox News, but I used to be a Fox News watcher. But it was a long time ago. I mean, I woke up. I mean, this was like 10 plus years ago. I woke up. People need to wake up. I don't know what it's going to take for them to wake up, but they need to wake up. But anyway, yeah, so getting back to yesterday, I mean, one of the other things that was kind of weird when I was looking at confirmation so quickly is, like I said, we have a streaming service, and I have Hulu, and I've had it for years, because I do like some of the programs, the shows that are on there that I missed, years ago, and some of their movies and whatnot. But mostly I like the sports. My wife and I, we like watching college baseball. The College Baseball World Series is coming up and everything. Just being honest, that's how we relax and just enjoy watching things together. We enjoy things together. She was a really good softball player in high school or whatever, and I used to play softball and stuff. Never was very good at baseball. Couldn't hit for nothing. Softball I could hit, not a baseball. but anyway, just being honest. But anyway, so we like the sports on there, and I like some of the other shows. And then there was this one show that kind of intrigued me that it was just released, and it was called Tucci in Italy. And I was just like, oh, okay. This kind of looks interesting because she's very much into culture. My wife teaches Spanish. She's fluent in Spanish, so she's very much into different cultures. And I like certain cultures myself. Not all of them, but there are certain cultures I like. And the Italian culture and Spanish culture and so forth, European culture, I find it very interesting. And so I said, well, let's check this out. So if people don't know who Tucci is, Stanley Tucci, he's an actor, been in a lot of different movies and so forth. So he was born and raised in Italy, and at least up to about 12 years old or something. So he goes back to his homeland, and he's introducing people to the culture and the food and the architecture and the different areas. So, okay, it's rated TV PG, can't be that bad, right? You can hardly watch anything, hardly find anything that's appropriate anymore. But anyway, for families, that is. So my wife and my son and I were watching this thing, and it's kind of interesting, you know. He's meeting people and trying different foods and sharing his culture and their culture, and they're speaking in Italian for the most part with subtitles and everything. You can learn from stuff like this. I like to learn about things I don't know about. That's why I do so much research and studying and sometimes reading and watching videos or what have you, because I like to learn about things I don't know about. I don't like to be ignorant. So we're watching this thing, and I'm not thinking a whole lot about it at the time. And we started talking about, Italy overall has been very blessed, I think. And my wife mentioned, well, they did get hit hard with the pandemic. And I said, okay, fair enough. Okay, forgot about that. It's been several years here, right? You're right. They did get hit pretty hard with that. But it's not like they haven't had a Pompeii, you know, or anything of that nature, right? I mean, and they still have a lot of their architecture still standing and whatnot. And I mean, it's a beautiful country, beautiful area, you know. So we were just talking about, Italy has been very blessed by the Lord, it seems like, you know, in comparison to other places. And, you know, that's just my opinion, right? And I wasn't thinking about this at the time, but they do have their volcanoes and things of that nature. But I didn't think about it at the time. This morning, though, I wake up and guess what happened? Mount Etna is beginning to erupt again in Sicily. So I'm just like, wow. So it's spewing from Mount Etna now. And I get the report on that, and I'm just like, well, that's in Italy, in Sicily. He didn't visit Sicily, at least not yet. He's in Florence and Milan and Siena, I think. But anyway, maybe Tuscany. Can't remember all the places. But anyway, I was just like, okay. And it kind of reminded me of a few days prior, about a week or so prior, you know, Kilauea began to erupt again in Hawaii. And it's just like, I mean, that thing was really spewing like 1,000 feet in the air. It looked like a flamethrower coming out of the mountain, you know? It was crazy. So I'm like, wow, so all these volcanoes are becoming much more active again. I think Michael Snyder reported on this too. It's like all the volcanoes around the world are becoming very active again. So with volcanoes, you have earthquakes, and now they're warning about the solar flare and the CMEs and all the rest of this stuff. I mean, been doing that for a long time, but they're saying this one could be really, really dangerous. Matter of fact, this one dude, what's his name? Luke Holmquist, I think, earthquake watcher or whatever. Somebody sent me a video of his. Said that look out for a possible major San Francisco earthquake. What's today? The 2nd, right? Yeah, either today or tomorrow. That's what he said. Said possibly a major San Francisco earthquake today or tomorrow. Like, okay, fair enough. I guess we'll see what happens. Because there has been quite a few 6s as of late in Japan and even places, you know. I think there was one in the US too, but it didn't do any major damage, I guess, because of the location and its depth and whatnot. So people ignore it. Unless they feel it, it's shaking, rattling, and rolling, they ignore it. You know, so it doesn't get much reporting done on it, and, you know, they always downgrade it or whatever. But don't quote me on that, but I thought I saw, like, Japan was like a 6.1 or something, and then there was some event happened in Germany too. I don't know all about that, because there's so much stuff to research and read about and whatever. It's hard to keep track of everything that's going on, okay? I mean, me, you, other people, we have lives, you know, we work, we take care of families, we do what we got to do around the house, yard work, whatever, clean up, you know, stuff like that. We have lives. We got to take care of things as well, okay? Other people like God's Soldiers Watchmen Ministry, you know, Hank, you know, they do a lot of street preaching and, you know, and planning to go to England next month, Lord willing. They got their passports and everything and trying to get a group together to go to England. So people have lives to live. They're evangelizing, they're preaching the word, they're teaching, they're doing all kinds of different things. So it's hard to keep up on everything that's going on in the world, you know. But I'm just thinking about these things like man, things are just getting confirmed so quickly now. It's crazy how fast they're getting confirmed. And I gotta be honest about this, you know, take it for what it's worth, okay? But like I said, I am a student of history. I do know about certain dates that things have occurred in history, you know, like December 7th, 1941 and whatnot. But you know, we got June 6th coming up, D-Day invasion, June 6th, 1944, the anniversary of the D-Day invasion, you know, remembrance of that. And that's this Friday. And I'm just thinking to myself from a military strategic standpoint, okay? Now think about it like this. If what happened to Russia would have happened to us, say we have like another Pearl Harbor type event, I would imagine we probably would have already retaliated. Okay? Maybe not. Hard to say. But Russia seems to be much more patient. The bear will arise and devour much flesh. It doesn't like jump to its feet immediately, you know, kind of like a slow breathing, getting up, lumbering, you know, but then once it's up, it's ready to kill and eat, right? So I think I'm gonna call this, there's gonna be hell to pay. I think that's what I'm gonna call this video, because this is what I believe in my heart, okay? This walk and talk. June 6th seems like a prime time, prime opportunity. I'm not prophesying anything, promising, guaranteeing. People don't put words in my mouth. I'm just saying from a military strategic standpoint, June 6th seems like a prime time opportunity because of its historical significance. What a slap in the face to the U.S. and our so-called allies. I mean, it was an allied invasion at that time, but now, who the heck knows who our friends are anymore? Got a whole lot more enemies, if we have any friends at all. But anyway, other than the ones that want to give us $400 billion planes or $1 million planes or whatever. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. But anyway, I mean, seriously, I mean, who knows, right? You find out who your friends are in the worst of times. So who's going to come to your rescue and your aid or whatever, right? That's when you know who your true friends are. But anyway, I'm thinking to myself, that's a prime time opportunity, man. That's what I would do. And you know what? I like what Paul from Off Grid said when he first reported on it. As far as I know, he was the first one. I mean, I could be wrong, could have been somebody else, but as far as I know, he was the first one. Got to give him credit where credit's due. I don't agree with Paul on everything. Matter of fact, there's a lot of things I don't agree with him on. But as far as reporting the news and getting the information out there, he was the first as far as I know. And he mentioned something I thought was very interesting. I'm going to go back to 2 prophetic words, visions, dreams, whatever. Visions, prophetic words. The first one I'm going to mention, because it was what he talked about, was he said, you know what? We need to watch our aircraft carriers. Paraphrasing here. But that's what he implied. He was just like, aircraft carriers. That's what he mentioned. What if they hit our aircraft carriers? Yeah, that's what I'd do. It wouldn't be a tit for tat. Not for me. Not for me. See, I would, if it were me, okay, if I was in charge of anything ever in my life, okay, if it were me, I'd take down my enemy's aircraft carriers. I'd hit them harder than they hit me. See, so you want to bomb our bombers or whatever, just sitting there on the tarmac or whatever. I'm taking down your aircraft carriers with your sailors and Marines aboard. That's me, okay? You'll say, that's cruel, that's evil, that's mean. No, that's war. Okay, you want to win. The objective is to win, okay? And these are military combatants, all right? If they're aboard aircraft carriers, destroyers, cruisers, frigates, whatever else, they are military combatants. So they have weapons. They should be ready to fight, to defend themselves, whatever else. If it were me, I'd take down the aircraft carriers. Which leads me to the fiery kickoff event. People recall that from, I don't even know how many years ago now, 10, I guess? I don't know. But that's what happens. The aircraft carriers are taken out. But according to the prophecy, or whatever you want to call it, the word, the Prez has to be in New York at the time, though, too. What would bring him to New York? I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. I honestly don't know. Okay, but that's what I would do. Okay, I'm just saying. So, and June 6th seems like a prime opportunity. Now, will June 6th come and go and it'll be nothing at all? Probably. Most likely. But for historians, where people understand significance of certain dates and the occurrences, the events of those dates, it could be important. So June 6th is this Friday. 3-day week, not a 3-day weekend, but it's this Friday. So imagine, if you will, getting all conspiratorial now, okay? But imagine, if you will, that would happen. Well, how do you think our economy would be affected by that? You think the banks might shut down over the weekend? Especially if it happened in the early morning hours? Because you got to remember, it's still Thursday here where it's Friday in the rest of the world, okay? So, you think the banks might shut down? It might affect our economy in a major way if all of a sudden our aircraft carriers were sunk or attacked? Maybe, maybe not. But if it did, who's ready for that? Who's prepared for that? Who's expecting that? I'm just throwing it out there. Like I said, it's probably nothing at all. This is probably X-Files conspiracy, okay? It's probably nothing at all. Any television show or movie you ever watch is probably just conspiracy, predictive programming, probably never ever come to pass. Just people trying to make money, put money in their wallets, make more movies, make more television shows because it's intriguing and fascinating and probably means nothing at all. Being a tad bit facetious there. But seriously, it could be nothing at all. Then again, all hell could break loose. I don't know. That's why I just kind of keep it in the back of my mind. As someone that studies history, I'm not a historian, I don't have a degree in it or whatever, but as someone that studies history, is familiar with military history, is familiar with certain dates, has watched a lot of different movies and documentaries, and paid attention to a lot of different things over the years, I'm thinking to myself, June 6th seems like a prime opportunity. So then the other thing is the Dimitri Duduman thing, which I find very fascinating, always have. I always thought it would make a great movie. I mentioned that before. They make all these family-based, faith-based films or whatever on this or that. I'm surprised that nobody ever got, no producer, director, writer, whatever, never got the idea of doing the Dimitri Duduman film. I think it'd be a great, great movie. Probably have to rate it R for all the violence in it, but I mean, or at least a strong PG-13, but I think it'd be a great, great movie. Great story. If anybody's not familiar with the Dimitri Duduman story, not just the prophecy, but his life, his story, how he got the vision that he claimed to get from the angel and everything while coming to the United States from Romania and not even speaking the language and everything else, and then giving the message for America, for the fall of America. It's fascinating. Whether people believe it or not, it's a great story, man. So anyway, I think it'd make a great movie. But anyway, if you think about that, if you're familiar with that, the thing that pertains to us the most, that's so relevant for us, is the internal revolution, right? People would argue, they'd say, well, are we in an internal revolution? Well, definitely not a civil war, at least not a kinetic one. Maybe a cold civil war or a cold internal revolution. It's nothing kinetic. I mean, kinetic World War III may have started over this past weekend. We could go look back in history, I guess, and time will tell. It might have. We don't know yet, okay? It's possible. But a kinetic internal revolution or a kinetic civil war, you'd have to say probably not. People aren't out in the streets killing each other like in Birth of a Nation or something, okay? They're not doing that, all right? At least not for those purposes. I mean, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of murder, there's a lot of shootings practically happen every day. The event that happened in Pearl Street in Boulder, which my wife and I are unfortunately familiar with. When we lived in Colorado, we would go to Boulder quite often to hike at Chautauqua Park there and walk around the town and whatnot. And I'd call it Planet Boulder, you know. Our pastor at the time called them the Earth people, the Earth Muffin people, the Granola people, or whatever else, because they were different in Boulder, okay? These were some different people in Boulder, okay? And of course, everybody's familiar with the John Benet Ramsey killing and situation there. I mean, Boulder's been in the news a lot over the last 20, 30 years, what have you. And now this horrible incident, setting people on fire with Molotov cocktails, you know, over the weekend. Just insanity, just craziness. But is it an internal revolution? I don't know. Because Dmitry Duduman said, he said, the fall of America will start by the communists. I'm paraphrasing here. So the internal revolution basically will be started by the communists. Okay, well, that's debatable. All right, are we in an internal revolution? Not a kinetic one, but there is fighting against the government to a certain extent, at least defiance in that way. They say some of the people will fight against the government. We have seen that at times, especially over the past 7 years or whatever the case may be, 7 to 8 years. And recently, there's a lot of defiance of orders, defiance of executive orders, defiance of bills and laws that have been passed. So I guess it's debatable to say, are some of the people fighting against the government? I suppose. So, but are we in the internal revolution part of it? I don't know. It's debatable, I think. I guess it depends on, is it kinetic or is it just, how do I say it? Is it just something that people really kind of have to pay attention to because it's not really affecting them on the home front too much? They hear about it in the news, they read about it. It's horrible situations, but it's not happening in their neighborhood. It's not happening in their community. So they're like, yeah, I can still, like me, I can still go for a walk and talk, and other than cars trying to run me over, you know, nobody's shooting at me. Nobody's threatening my life. You know, nobody's, telling me get off the phone, or, what are you talking about? Or you don't have a right to say this or say that or do this or do that. So I would have to say nothing is kinetic in that way. It's more just people expressing views. They're showing their anger, their frustration, or whatever. They're fighting against the government in certain ways. Is it being started by the communists? Absolutely. No doubt about that. The Communist Party's been here for a long, long, long time. So we are a godless nation, a godless people overall. That's communism. So there are certain aspects of it, I would say, that might be coming to pass now. It's just not full blown. So then the other part of that is, then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, and he said 2 other countries he couldn't remember. What are those countries? It's all up for speculation. Why he couldn't remember them, I have no idea. Probably because of all the trauma that the man had gone through at that particular time. And he's getting all this information, and it's all coming down to him. I have no idea, but it's all open to speculation. But isn't it interesting that the first country mentioned is Russia? Then Cuba. Well, we've had our issues with the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's not exactly Cubans are our friends, and we've definitely done a lot of bad things to people over the years in other countries and whatnot. Nicaragua, yeah, I can definitely see that. Central America, oh yeah. Oh yeah, all our black ops and all the things that we've done to these people, and just horrible. People have to research it. I can't get into all of it. I'm not going to. Come and arrest me. So I mean, research it for yourself. Well, we've done a lot. We've committed a lot of atrocities, us and our allies and our black ops operations and all the rest of this stuff, to a lot of different people and countries throughout the world, right? Done some good things too, like, just watched the movie Tears of the Sun. Tears of the Sun, I think that's what it's called, yeah, not long ago. Fascinating film. Not exactly a family movie by any means. A fascinating movie about, Nigeria. And a SEAL team goes in and tries to rescue an American doctor, before the war is going to break out in Nigeria. Basically, you have the different factions. They overthrow the government. They kill the president. They execute what they think. They believe his whole family, but one son survives and whatnot. But anyway, and he can still lead his people as the tribal leader and whatnot. But the SEALs don't know this at the time. that they actually have somebody in their group that survived the attempted execution of the royal family in Nigeria. It's a fascinating movie. And I'm thinking, wow, history repeats, deja vu all over again, because Nigeria is one of the places, if people ever watch the Ignited Church live streams, you know that there's 3 places that World Outreach Ministries for Ignited Church is reaching to and ministering to and supporting and helping. And that is Pastor Oscar in Nigeria, Pastor Sanel in India, and Pastor Manuel in Cuba. So anyway, and Nigeria still has major violence occurring in it. As a matter of fact, there were people kidnapped. They don't mention Boko Haram in the movie or whatever, but there were people kidnapped, people executed, people chopped up. They're just saying like it is, you know. And they destroyed churches, they destroyed homes, and Ignited Church was a big part of rebuilding some homes and churches and whatnot in different areas. If people watch the live streams, you would know that. If you just listen to Pastor Ben preaching or his wife or whatever, you wouldn't know. But if you watch the live streams, if you're involved in the ministry like I have been for, I don't know, since what, probably about 9 years now, something like that, you know these things. So anyway, fascinating stuff. So we do some good things, but for the most part, no. So I can see why the world hates us and doesn't respect us, doesn't fear us. And it's fascinating to me that Russia is the first country that's mentioned because what just happened. And who do you think's going to get the blame for that? Who do you think's going to get the blame? Is like, you think Ukraine did all this on their own? Yeah, it's like, oh, they've been planning this for 18 months. On their own? I doubt it. You think they did this? No. No. This was NATO. And NATO, like Jamie Walden says, NATO is the U.S. and the U.S. is NATO. Who do you think's going to get the blame for this, folks? There's going to be hell to pay, man. Whenever the bear stops hibernating, okay, and slowly rises up, deep breathing, and basically begins to rise, okay, from their lumbering breathing and whatnot, labored breathing, whatever the case may be. When it rises up, it will kill and eat and devour much flesh. It's biblical. And it was the Dimitri Duduman vision. Whether people believe it or they don't believe it, I think it's true. I think it's going to come to pass. I'll tell you why I think it's true. Because the man endured so much Old Testament and maybe even New Testament, like prophet, disciple, apostle torture, where God saved his life from the electric chair just to bring, on 3 different occasions, I believe, just to bring him to the United States, a man that doesn't even speak the language, to warn the United States of our impending demise years and years and years later. Why? Because our churches weren't doing it. Our pastors that spoke English, that speak English, our leaders weren't doing it. We were prosperous. We're doing wonderful. We're the U.S. Nothing can bring us down. We're awesome. We're great. This and that. Blah, blah, blah. God wants you to be rich. And God wants... Blah, 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 blah. You know, you've all heard the same crap for years from all the prosperity teachers and idiots out there behind a pulpit lying to you and promising you this and promising you that. Where this man who doesn't even speak the language, and if you really get into his testimony, when he tries to go to the churches for help, they think he's crazy. They won't help him. They won't help him. They won't help his family. They think he's nuts. And he thinks they're nuts for what they're doing and for the garbage they're teaching and the things that they're showing and everything else. So it's like, it's bad. You got to get into the testimony, though. You got to read the story, read the biography, and you'll understand all of this. And it makes perfect sense to you why we are where we are now and where we're going to be in the very near future. Because, how do I say it? The final nail's about to go into the coffin, man. I mean, now it could take months or years. I don't know. I doubt years. I'm thinking more like months before we really begin to feel it in a major way. But I would say, not prophesying anything, predicting anything, just a guess, by the end of 2025, we're not going to recognize this nation the way we recognize it now. People say, well, I don't even recognize it now. I get it. Especially this month with all the sodomites coming out here and doing their thing. It already started in, started on June 1st, I think. What country was that? Thailand? Yeah, Bangkok. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw a video on that. The freaks, the sodomites, everybody, they all came out and they already started celebrating their sickness. So, and it's going to happen again this month all over the world, and here we go again, right? So it's just like flaunting our sin in front of God Almighty, you know, thinking he's not going to do anything about it. He's going to turn a blind eye and everything's going to be fine. Same old, right? I would think by the end of this year, though, we're going to know differently. Just my guess. So, but anyway, getting back to the Dimitri Duduman thing. Yeah, he mentions Russia first. Okay, then Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, 2 other countries. Here we go. I mean, I don't know what further to say about that. I guess we'll just see what happens. So, anyway, how long I've been going on for now? Told you it's gonna be longer. Yeah, 46 minutes, longer than usual. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go now. I think I got everything off my heart and my mind I wanted to talk about, at least for now. But it's good to get some exercise. It's good to do a walk and talk. Good to have the time off to do it. I said I got to take care of some other stuff. Got to chop some stuff up and take some stuff out. I got to do a lot of stuff. So I got to, you know, take a break here from this and then continue. I probably got about a mile walk back, I'd say. Maybe not quite that far. Hard to say. I've never really timed this as far as how far this particular walk is. And my friend Cammie isn't around. I don't know what happened to Cammie, but Cammie, the little yellow lab, well, not really that little, but the yellow lab, didn't see her. I hope everything's okay with Cammie, but usually she comes right up to me or sneaks up behind me or something, but not today. So, oh well. Maybe she'll be up the hill when I come back. I don't know. But anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go. Hope you all have a good and blessed day. Hey, it's a walk and talk. What can I tell you? I just share my opinions, my thoughts, my ideas. People listen, don't listen, agree, don't agree, think I'm nuts, think I'm right, whatever. I just use the First Amendment while we still have it. And it's people's choice whether they want to listen or not. You know, nobody's forcing anybody to listen, not listen, whatever else. So I'm just throwing it out there. If by some miracle I happen to be right and June 6th is a major day, you were told in advance. That's all I can say. Be prepared, be ready, do what you got to do, get done what you got to get done, take care of business. Same old marching song, you know how it is. Saying it for like, what, about 5 years almost on this, on YouTube, I guess, and almost something like that. 10 overall on social media, something like that. I don't know. I can't even keep track anymore. So it's getting old. Actually, 6 years. Yeah, 6. Yeah, so almost 6. So anyway, mostly on the other channel, but do what I can on this one, on the backup. So or on the main one now, because this is the main one now. But anyway, hey, you do the best you can. You get the information out. You get the word out. You at least give people some food for thought, something to think about, something to pray about, something to be prepared for. And if I happen to be right, as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to watch Saving Private Ryan today. Because this is the time of the year that I would do that. Memorial Day, time of the year, up to by June 6th, is kind of like my own personal tradition. This is the time of the year that I watch all the old war movies. And I remind myself of the sacrifice of others. And I, you know, learn about things I don't know about. And it's just who I am. Call it growing up in a military family, being a veteran, whatever you want to call it. It's just who I am. It's just my part of my DNA that isn't altered or changed or in any way. It's just who God created me to be. So that's who I am. That's what I do. So yeah, I'm feeling inspired to watch Saving Private Ryan. Haven't done that in a few years. So anyway, y'all take care. Have a good, blessed day, and I'll talk to you another time. All right. And enjoy the weather if you can. Get out and get some exercise if you're able to, because who knows what the weather's going to bring next. We're in some very dangerous and perilous times. All right. Bye-bye.